Hello everyone. In this week, we will be learning how to interface 8051 with different external devices. So, we will be learning about what is a programmable peripheral interface 8255, how we can interface it with 8051, and then we will see different devices that can be connected to 8051 in designing mechatronic systems, like LEDs, 7-segment displays, LCDs, keyboard matrix, stepper motor, DC motors, ADC, and DAC. Let us learn about the first device, that is Programmable Peripheral Interface. In short, we call it as PPI, or the IC number is 8255. Now, whenever a processor or a controller has a limited number of I/O ports or I/O pins, in that case we make use of 8255 or the PPI device to extend the I/O capabilities of the processor or the controller. So it is a popular device especially for 8-bit processors and controllers. 8255 has 24 I/O pins, and these I/O pins are grouped into three I/O ports, namely port A, port B, and port C. Port A and port B can be used as two 8-bit ports. Port C can be used either as a single 8-bit port or as a 4-bit port, two 4-bit ports, namely port C upper and port C lower. In order to program these ports as input or output ports, we have to program the programmable peripheral interface. So how do we program it? It has a register called as the control word register. So when you are writing the control word to the control word register, we will be programming indirectly the ports of 8255 either as input port or output port. Port C can be programmed as input or output as the whenever it is behaving as an 8-bit port. If you would like to program the individual pins of port C as input or output, that is also possible. So the mode where we are programming port C individual pins as input or output pins, it is called as the BSR mode. So in this slide, we have the control word register format. So if I am programming port C as individual pins as input and output, then D7 is always 0, D6, D5 and D4 are don't cares. D3, D2, D1 will tell which particular pin is being programmed as is been getting programmed, and D0 will tell whether it is input or output. So if I write 1 in D0, then it is programmed as input pin. If I write a 0 over here, then it is programmed as output pin. Now PPI can also be programmed where I am trying to tell what is the uh, ports, that is port A, port B and port C are behaving as input ports or output ports. So this particular mode of operation is called as IO mode of 8255. So in this particular mode, the 7th bit of the control word register is always a high, or it is always 1. D5 and D6 behave as mode selection for port A. Now what are these modes? I will come back to it. D5 and D6 tell what type of mode is for port A and port C upper. D4 tells whether port A is set as input port or as output port. D3 tells whether port C upper is input or output. D2 is mode bit for port C lower and port B. D1 is tells whether port B is input port or output port. D0 is whether port C lower is input or output. So basically we can tell PPI is programmed into two modes, IO mode and BSR mode. In IO mode, we again have three different modes. So mode 0 is where port A and port B, port C are also behaving as a simple input-output ports. When in mode 1, Port A is used as input-output port with port C upper used for handshake signals. Similarly, port B is used as input-output port and port C lower is used for handshake signals. Whereas in mode 3, only port A is used as bidirectional port and port C is used for handshake signals. So in mode 3, port B cannot be used. Only port A is used and port C is used for handshaking signals. Now let us take some examples of how to write the control word for the PPI. Write the control word to program port C PC.5 of 8255 as input pin. So we have to program only this particular pin of 8255 as input pin. Since it is port C's one particular pin getting programmed, we tell 8255 should be in BSR mode. So as I said, in BSR mode, bit D7 is 0, D6, D5, D4 are don't cares, and then we have D4, D3, D2 which will tell which particular pin, and D0 will tell whether it is input or output. So we want PC.5, that is why 101 is written, and we want it as input pin, hence D0 is made 1. So if you assume these don't cares as zeros, then you have 0BH being written, or if you are assuming these don't cares as 1, then you have 7BH as the control word. One more example. Write control word to program port A and port B as input ports in mode 0 and port C as output port. So here I am using all three ports, therefore I have to go for the IO mode of operation. 8255 should be in IO mode. So as per IO mode, bit D7 is 1. Port A and port B should be input ports in mode 0. Therefore these D6 and D5 is 0. Port A should be input, so this is 1, whereas port C is output, therefore this bit is 0. Port B is again mode 0, so this bit is also 0, D2 bit. D1 bit, port B should be input, so it is 1. D0 bit, port C should be output, therefore this is again 0. So the control word written is 92H.